What in the world is a seller multiple counteroffer, and how do they work? Often in competitive seller markets, or even just high demand neighborhoods or communities, you'll run across what's called a seller multiple counteroffer situation. Now what this means is simply that the seller has received more than one offer on their property, and rather than just counteroffer one of those offers, they decide to submit multiple counteroffers instead, simultaneously. Now if all of the buyers receiving the multiple counteroffer accept the offer, unlike a regular counteroffer, there is no binding contract yet. The seller still has the final pick of the offers, and in order for a binding agreement to be made between the parties, the seller will sign and accept the one that makes sense to them. Also know that the terms of these multiple counteroffers do not have to be identical. For example, let's say that buyer number one submits a $500,000 cash offer with no loan contingencies and a 25-day close with a $3,000 earnest money deposit. Let's say buyer number two offers $510,000 with a 30-day close and a $10,000 earnest money deposit, and he wants the playground in the back to stay. And let's say buyer number three offers $515,000 with a 90-day close and a $5,000 earnest money deposit. Now there are multiple ways a seller can submit multiple counteroffers. One is that the seller makes personalized counteroffer terms based on what the particular buyer had offered. For example, let's say the seller's biggest priority is to sell for at least $500,000, but they also need to close fast. Let's say they have a job transfer in 1 month. So the seller counters buyer number one, saying, purchase price to be $505,000, earnest money deposit to be $20,000, so I know you're serious, and since you're buying cash, I want to close in 14 days instead of 25. He's kind of saying, hey, I can live with a lower price even though I have higher offers, so long as this buyer will close fast so I can focus on my job transfer. Then let's say the seller counters buyer number two and says, purchase price to be $515,000 since they want my kid's playground, and I'm okay with a 30-day close and $10,000 deposit. And let's say they counter buyer number three saying, close of escrow to be 30 days from acceptance instead of 90. See, the terms of the counters could be all different based on what makes most sense to the seller. If he gets less money but a quicker close, then that will minimize his stress when he's worrying about his job transfer. Or he could be saying, sure, I'd be okay with a longer escrow so long as I get a higher sales price. Now look, all three of them could accept the seller's counteroffer, but the seller will ultimately have the last pick. Then again, there's always the chance that all three could also not accept, but that's not likely given the reasonable changes in the counteroffers. Now another way to approach this is that the seller writes on the counteroffer buyers to submit their highest and best offer. Now in this case, it gives the buyers being countered the chance to decide on their bottom line and to submit an offer at the highest price they're willing to pay. Well, this one can be no fun for buyers sometimes because they don't know what the other buyers are going to be submitting. Buyers know this very well might be their last shot at getting the property, so they go all in and offer their absolute highest if it's a property that's very desirable. In this situation, it's important for the buyers to have a rationally decided bottom line, an amount that they would not regret paying were they to get their offer accepted, but also an amount that they would not regret not offering more than in the case that their offer is not the one selected. Make sense? So when you're a buyer in a seller multiple counteroffer situation, you can't predict what the other buyers are going to do. So make sure you come back at a number you can live with, whether or not your offer is accepted. I'll see you in the next video.